Most folks think coffee is just something you drink to wake up in the morning. And for years, people have said that adding stuff to your coffee just makes it worse or adds extra calories you don't need. But here's what I've been seeing in the research and with patients. There's one common kitchen spice that changes how coffee behaves in your body, especially after 45. This isn't some fancy supplement you need to order online or some super expensive health food from a specialty store. This is something you probably already have sitting in your cabinet right now. I'm going to walk you through what's really going on inside your body when you combine these two things, why this matters way more as you get older, and what the science is quietly showing us about this combo that nobody's really talking about. Something really important has been missed, and by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what it is. I'm a doctor, focusing on how our bodies handle energy and how we age. I read tons of studies, watch what happens with patients, and try to explain complicated science stuff in ways that actually make sense for regular life. What I'm sharing today is just for education. This isn't medical advice, and it's definitely not meant to replace talking to your own doctor about your health. Everyone's different, and what I talk about here is meant to help you understand the science, not tell you what to do. If you've got health problems or take any medications, always check with your doctor before you change anything. My job here is just to show you what the research says and help you think smart about your health. For a long time, we've thought about coffee and food as totally separate things. Coffee wakes you up, food gives you energy. Supplements are just extra stuff on the side. But that way of thinking misses the whole picture. What we're learning from research is that certain natural things don't just hang out separately in your body. They actually interact. They help each other get absorbed better or work better. They change how your cells respond to energy, swelling, and fixing themselves. This is called biological synergy, and it's one of those things that nobody really talks about, but it's super important. The spice I'm talking about is cinnamon. Yep, just regular cinnamon. Not some special type, not some weird preparation. Just the cinnamon you probably already have in your kitchen. And the reason this is a big deal, especially if you're over 45, is that mixing coffee and cinnamon affects three major things in your body that get worse as you age: how you handle sugar, how much swelling is going on inside you, and how well your brain works. Today, I'm going to break down how this works, why researchers keep seeing this in different groups of people, and what you can really expect if you decide to give it a try. I'll start with the less important stuff and work my way up to the biggest findings so you get the complete picture. Let's kick things off with something that bugs almost everyone over 50: how your body deals with sugar. When we eat, our blood sugar goes up. Your body releases insulin to help your cells soak up that sugar. Over time, especially as you get older, this system starts working worse. Your cells don't respond to insulin as well. Your blood sugar stays high longer. This is called insulin resistance, and it's linked to feeling tired, gaining weight, heart problems, and even your brain not working as sharp. Cinnamon has stuff in it called polyphenols, and one specific thing called cinnamaldehyde. Research shows that these things might help your body respond better to insulin. They kinda act like insulin in some ways and help the little doors on your cells open up better to let sugar in. Scientists have seen this happen in lots of studies, especially with people who have metabolic syndrome or are heading toward diabetes. Now, coffee also messes with how your body handles sugar, but it's more complicated. Caffeine can actually make your body respond worse to insulin for a little while, especially if you drink a lot. But coffee also has something called chlorogenic acids, and these are linked to better sugar control over time. So you've got two things pulling in different directions. This is where things get really interesting. When you add cinnamon to your coffee, some studies show that the good stuff in cinnamon might cancel out the bad insulin stuff from caffeine, while still letting the good parts of coffee help your metabolism long-term. This doesn't mean it cures diabetes. It doesn't mean you can eat junk food and fix it with cinnamon coffee. But it does suggest that this combo helps keep your blood sugar more steady, which is super important after you eat or when you're between meals. In real life, this might mean you don't crash and feel exhausted mid-morning. It might mean you feel more stable between meals. For folks trying to manage their weight or cut down on snacking, this kind of steady energy can be pretty powerful. And we're just getting started. The next piece is about swelling inside your body. Not the kind you can see or feel, but this ongoing low-level inflammation that builds up in your tissues over decades. Some scientists call this inflammaging, and it's connected to basically every disease that comes with getting older: arthritis, heart disease, Alzheimer's, even cancer. Both coffee and cinnamon have been studied for helping with inflammation. Coffee has antioxidants like caffeic acid and some other stuff that forms when the beans are roasted. These things are linked to lower levels of inflammation markers in your blood, things with names like C-reactive protein and interleukin-6. Cinnamon, on the flip side, has compounds called procyanidins and other polyphenols that seem to reduce stress on your cells and calm down the inflammation signals. What makes this combo cool is that they work on different parts of the inflammation system. Coffee's antioxidants help fight off the bad molecules called free radicals. Cinnamon's compounds seem to calm down your immune system itself, stopping it from going crazy with inflammation, which happens more as you age. Together, they might give you better protection against long-term inflammation than just having one or the other. This has been seen in big population studies. People who drink coffee and eat spices like cinnamon regularly tend to have lower inflammation levels over time. Again, this isn't a guarantee, it's just something researchers keep seeing. But it shows up in different studies with different groups of people, which makes it more believable. For someone in their 50s or 60s, this matters because inflammation is often the hidden reason you feel tired, achy, foggy, or just not as tough as you used to be. Turning down that background noise, even a little bit, can make a real difference in how you feel every day. And here's the cool part. You're doing this with food, not medicine. There's something pretty neat about that. Now let's talk about something that worries a lot of people as they age: keeping your brain sharp. Forgetting things, taking longer to remember stuff, having trouble focusing. These aren't always signs something's wrong. Usually, they just mean your brain is processing energy differently and dealing with more stress from those free radicals we talked about. Caffeine, as most people know, wakes you up. It blocks these things called adenosine receptors, which makes you feel less tired and more alert. But caffeine also makes your brain release more dopamine and norepinephrine, which help you focus and feel better. The problem is your body gets used to it, and too much caffeine can make you jittery, anxious, or mess up your sleep. Cinnamon has been studied for how it might protect your brain. Some research suggests that cinnamaldehyde and other stuff in cinnamon might help with something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF for short. BDNF is a protein that helps brain cells grow and stay alive. It's super important for learning, memory, and mood. Your BDNF levels drop as you age, and having less is linked to memory problems and depression. When you mix coffee and cinnamon together, you might be helping both your brain right now and your brain years from now. The caffeine helps you focus today. The cinnamon might help keep the basic brain structures healthy for decades. This is still kinda new science because studies on cinnamon and BDNF in humans are limited. But the animal studies and cell studies look pretty good, and they match what we see in groups of people who eat these things regularly. There's also some newer research about how cinnamon might help reduce the buildup of proteins in the brain that are linked to Alzheimer's disease. Again, this is early stuff. It's not a treatment, but it's part of a bigger picture showing that cinnamon helps your brain stay tough in ways we're just starting to figure out. In practical terms, this might mean clearer thinking, better mood, and feeling less mentally worn out. These are subtle things, not huge overnight changes. But over months and years, they really add up. I want to stop here for a sec because what I'm about to explain next is honestly the most important part of this whole thing. We've covered blood sugar, inflammation, and brain health. Those all matter. But this last piece involves something deeper, something that ties all these systems together and affects how we age at the most basic level. This is where the research gets really interesting, and I think it's worth sticking around for. Everything we've talked about so far, sugar handling, inflammation, brain stuff, all comes down to energy production inside your cells. Your cells make energy in these tiny things called mitochondria. Think of them like little power plants. As we get older, these mitochondria don't work as well. Cells make less energy. Trash builds up inside them. This is basically a huge reason why we age at all. Coffee, especially the good compounds in it, has been linked to better mitochondria function. Some studies show that drinking coffee is connected to making new, healthier mitochondria. This is one reason why coffee keeps showing up in studies as being linked to living longer. People who drink coffee regularly tend to live longer and have fewer age-related diseases. Cinnamon also seems to help mitochondria, but in a different way. The good stuff in cinnamon protects these little power plants from damage and helps them make energy better. In animal studies, giving cinnamon to animals made them have better endurance and fewer signs of aging at the cell level. When you put coffee and cinnamon together, you're potentially helping your body both make new mitochondria and protect the ones you already have. This is a pretty powerful combo for cell energy and staying strong. It doesn't stop aging, nothing does, but it might slow down some of the decline that makes getting older feel rough. This shows up in how people feel. Better energy all day, not needing naps as much, handling stress better, bouncing back from exercise faster. These aren't huge dramatic changes, they're gradual. But they're the kinds of things that decide whether getting older feels okay or feels terrible. There's also cool research on something called autophagy, which is basically how your cells take out the trash and recycle damaged parts. Both coffee and cinnamon have been linked to better autophagy. This is a big deal because autophagy gets worse with age, and when it's not working well, that's connected to brain diseases, metabolic problems, and cancer. Supporting autophagy through what you eat is one of the most promising areas in longevity research, and this combo seems to help it happen naturally. There's one more thing I want to cover, and that's heart health. Heart disease is still the #1 killer worldwide, and a lot of it can be prevented just by how you live. Coffee has been studied like crazy when it comes to heart health, and the news is pretty good. Drinking a moderate amount of coffee is linked to lower risk of heart failure, stroke, and clogged arteries. This seems to happen because of the anti-inflammatory and antioxidant stuff we talked about earlier, plus coffee helps the lining of your blood vessels work better. Cinnamon has also been studied for heart benefits. Some research shows that cinnamon might help lower bad cholesterol and triglycerides while helping good cholesterol. It might also lower blood pressure a little bit, though the effect isn't huge. This probably happens because of better insulin response and less inflammation, which are both super important for heart risk. Together, coffee and cinnamon might give you extra support for heart health. This is especially important for people over CCs 50 when your heart risk starts climbing. It's not a replacement for medicine or other changes like exercise and eating better, but it's one more helpful piece of a bigger puzzle. Okay, let me be super clear about something. More is not better. I've had patients who learn about coffee or cinnamon benefits and start going crazy with it. That's a bad idea. Too much caffeine can make you anxious, mess up your sleep, upset your stomach, and even make your heart race. Too much cinnamon, especially the cassia kind, can give you too much of something called coumarin, which can hurt your liver if you have a lot. What the research supports is moderate, regular use. 1 to 3 cups of coffee per day. 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. That's it. This isn't about being perfect, it's about building habits you can stick with for years, not trying to get quick results. I also want to stress that this won't fix bad lifestyle habits. If you're not sleeping enough, if you're eating tons of processed junk, if you never move around, adding cinnamon to your coffee won't solve those problems. Health is all connected. Everything works together. This combo is a small, helpful tool, not a magic fix. I'm curious about who's watching this. If you're cool with it, drop a comment and let me know how old you are and what country you're watching from. I find it helpful to know who's interested in this stuff, and it helps me make better videos. No pressure though, but if you want to join the conversation, I'd appreciate it. So let's wrap this up. Adding cinnamon to your coffee isn't a miracle. It's not a cure. But it is a simple, research-backed way to help with sugar handling, reduce inflammation, protect your brain, boost cell energy, and support heart health. These effects are pretty modest on their own, but together, they might help you age better and feel better. The trick is being consistent and not overdoing it. This is something you can do every day without much effort or money. It fits right into what you're already doing. It doesn't take willpower or huge changes, and over time, those small, regular actions tend to matter way more than we think. If you like this, I'll be talking about other simple, science-based strategies in future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.